All right, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of the day you're doing this. I hope it's a good start or a good end to your day. So, today's lesson, we're not actually going to be in the book. We're just going to be practicing some more two-step equations and drawing them. So, you're going to need a scratch piece of paper and some either colored pencils or markers. You'll need a yellow, green, and red. So if you need to pause the video to go grab those things, go ahead and do so, and then you can push play when you're ready to go. So we're going to do 5 practice problems together, and then I'm going to give you 5 problems to do on your own. I do want you to draw these out, okay? So for your assignment, you are going to be drawing them out. So for our first equation, we're going to have 3x plus 5 equals 23. So if you remember from yesterday, we did have these boxes. Then we had an equal sign and our other box. So then we drew out what we started with. So I have 3 x's. And then I have 5 ones. 5. And then on the other side, I have 23 ones. So all right, I believe that's 23. Okay, so we always want to work on this side that is with our variable because we always want to get our variables by itself. So over here on the left-hand side, we have 5 positives with the x's. So in order to get rid of those 5 positives, we could either A, add 5 negatives, or I could just take away the 5 positives. So if I take away 5 positives from one side, I have to do the same to the other. So then I would take away 5 positives on this side. Now I'm left with 3x equals, and I have 18 ones left. So since I have 3 x's and I want to figure out how many 1 is worth, I need to split this side, the left-hand side, into 3 equal groups to figure out what 1x is worth. So I actually have 3 equal groups right here. So then I could say that one of these x's is equal to one group, another x is equal to another group, and another x is equal to another group. So 1x is equal to one of those groups on the right-hand side, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them in there, so therefore 1x is equal to 6. Normally we would just write it as x equals 6, but that means the same thing. All right, your next problem. I'm not going to draw in the boxes this time. I will just draw in the algebra tiles. We have 2x plus 14 equals 0. So on this side, I have 2 x's and I have 14 ones. And on the other side, I don't actually have anything. So actually, I will draw in my boxes. Equals. I don't have anything. All right, so in order to get x by itself, I look over there on the side that has the variables, and I have 14 positives with those x's. In order to get rid of those 14 positives, I could take them away, but I don't have anything on the right-hand side to take away. So I'm actually going to have to add 14 negatives this time. So if I add 14 negatives, okay, I just made 14 zero pairs, but what you do to one side, you have to do to the other. Okay, so like I said over here, I made a bunch of 0 pairs. And so these are all gone now. Now I have 2x equals 14 negatives. So I have 2 x's that I need to split up into 2 groups. So if I split these up into 2 groups, I have to split my other side into 2 equal groups. So if I split it up into 2 equal groups, here's 1, here's 2, and I know they're equal because I have the same amount on the top as I do the bottom. So I know that 1x is equal to 7 negatives, because I have 7 negatives in one group, or x is equal to negative 7. All right, next problem. We have 8x plus 7 equals negative 9. All right, so this time I have 8 x's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 7 positives. And then on the other side, I actually have 9 negatives. All right, so I always work on the side that has the variable. So over there on the left-hand side, I have 7 positives with my x's. So in order to get rid of those 7 positives, I'm going to have to add 7 negatives. That makes 0 pairs. What you do to one side, though, you have to do to the other. So I added 7 negatives this side, so I'm going to have to add 7 negatives to that side. So now I have 8x is equal to 16 negatives. I have 8 x's, so I need to split both sides into 8 equal groups. So if I split this side into 8 equal groups, I'm going to have 2 in each group, because 16 divided by 8 is 2. So now I have 1x is equal to 2 negatives, or x equals negative 2. All right, next one is a little different. We have negative 6x plus 4 equals negative 2. So this time I have negative 6 x's and 4 positives. And on the other side I have 2 negatives. So again, I always work on the sign that has the variable. There are 4 positive with my x's, so in order to get rid of them, I'm going to add 4 negatives. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So these are my 0 pairs that I can now get rid of. So now I have 6 negative x's is equal to 6 negative 1's. So since I have 6 negative x's, I need to split both sides into 6 groups so that I can figure out what one group is worth. So if I split them into one group, I'm actually only going to have 1 in each group. So now I have negative 1x is equal to negative 1. I don't want what a negative x is worth. I want to know what a positive x is worth. So if I was to actually change this to the opposite, so the opposite of a negative 1x would be a positive 1x. I also have to make the other side the opposite. So the opposite of negative 1 is positive 1. So negative 1x equals negative 1, or positive 1x equals positive 1. and our final answer would be x equals 1. All right, the last one that we are going to do together is negative 9x minus 1 equals 17. So again, I have 9 negative x's and 1 negative 1. And on the other side, I have 17 positives. All right, we always work on the side that has the variables. So with the variables, I have 1 negative. So in order to get rid of that 1 negative, I need to add 1 positive. What you do to one side, you always have to do to the other. So I add a positive there. I make a 0 pair, so now I can get rid of it. So now I have 9 negative x's equals 18 positives. So since I have 9 negative x's, I need to split both sides into 9 equal groups. I know that 18 divided by 9 is 2, so I'm going to split 2 in each group to make it 9 equal groups. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 equal groups of 2. So I know that 1 negative x is equal to 2 positives. But remember, we don't want to know what a negative x equals. We want to know what a positive x equals. So if I say the opposite of negative 1x is positive 1x, I have to make the other side the opposite as well. So the opposite of positive 2 is negative 2. So 1x equals negative 2, or x equals negative 2. I know for some of you, you're not going to like drawing out the algebra tiles or splitting them into groups, but it's going to make the algebra portion that we do next make a little more sense. So for the 5 problems that I assign you today, please, please, please draw them out and then take a picture and submit it to Google Classroom. I do want you to do this on a scratch piece of paper that has lined paper so that it can kind of help you keep organized. If you have any questions, make sure that you join the Zoom that will be on Wednesday so that you can get your assignment submitted by Friday, because Friday is the due date.